Prophecology. It's more than a philosophy, more than a psychology, more than just an ecology, bigger than biology, larger than anthropology, brushes against astrology. That's Prophecology.
This is Master Prophet Bernard Jordan, your most trusted name in prophecy. Well, Minister Jonathan, we have a podcast here today, this week, and we have a young man which has a very, very interesting life. He's well-traveled. I met him through a young man that was here at our church. So why don't you read this bio on Pervis Taylor?
All right. Pervis Taylor III. His purpose in life is to help men maximize their potential, master their emotions, and thrive in the lives of their dreams. As an award-winning celebrity life coach, inspirational speaker, mentor, and author, Pervis travels the nation delivering his uplifting messages to crowds large and small. He has helped countless individuals achieve their goals and is excited to see where his journey of self-empowerment will take him next. Born in Dallas, Pervis earned his Bachelor of Business degree from the University of Miami, then relocated to New York City to pursue a career in the entertainment industry. While he quickly found success as an actor and model, appearing in feature films, commercials, and print ads, Pervis always felt that he had a higher calling. After much soul searching, he realized that helping people was his true purpose in life. He began to compile the wisdom he had acquired into his first two books, Pervis Principles 1 and 2, both of which have become international bestsellers. Pervis was especially encouraged to find that he had found a devoted audience of young men of color who connected with his progressive vision of masculinity and emotional intelligence.
Wow, let's give a hand for Pervis.
Wow. That's amazing.
Well, God bless you, Pervis. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm honored to be here.
Well, listen, we're honored to have you. You have such a big life. Can I ask you how... Well, let's see. Yeah, I guess I can. Can I ask you how old you are?
I just turned 40 in July.
All right, let's give him a clap for the big 4-0.
Wow.
Wow, Jonathan, he's showing you your future.
I like that gray.
What gray?
The gray is the age of the 40. He has a great, in this bio picture, he has this great gray streak that I think I'd like to really take on maybe here. When I get 40, though.
Pervis, is that a natural gray, or did you put that gray in place?
No, it's a natural gray.
Oh my goodness! That y'all young black men are graying early. This is good.
Well, I don't know about good, but
this is
it's
great.
happening.
This is showing. I mean, y'all see, it's the cycle of life. Y'all go gray, and then we get to go bald.
Okay.
So I'm showing you the future. Okay. So make sure you take good care of your scalp, because we're going to all see what you're doing underneath there. Okay, well, Pervis, you have become a life coach. What made you go into the world of life coaching?
Cliff Notes version. My father, before he passed away of a heroin overdose, he kind of prophesied that I'd be doing the work that I'm doing today.
Wow.
So that's the Cliff Notes version, but I went, he died. I went through depression, and in that depression, God revealed to me that I was supposed to help people.
Wow. God bless you, man. God bless you. And who are some of the people that you found yourself helping? I see that you're a speaker, you're a mentor, as well as an author. We're going to get into your book in a moment. But who are some of the audience that you find yourself speaking to, and the kinds of people you find yourself mentoring?
Well, my clientele is vast. It covers celebrities, executives, but especially young people of color and young men of color. So like really I've had clients from everywhere, all walks of life. But my heart is for young men of color.
Young men of color, great, great, and great, great, and great. Now you wrote a book. I think you wrote. Is that 2 books you've written?
I've written 3 books.
Okay. What's the name of your very first book?
My very first book was called Pervis Principles, Volume 1.
Pervis Principles Volume 1, and then the second one, evidently, was Pervis Principles Volume 2.
Correct.
Let me see. Can I predict the third one? Now it better be Pervis Principles Volume 3.
Maybe it may be coming.
Oh, I thought you said you wrote 3 books. Okay.
So I wrote 3. No, I wrote 3 books. The third book is Surthrival Mode.
Thrive.
Surthrival Mode. Surthrival. So it's taking you from surviving to thriving.
Oh my goodness, Surthrival. Okay, I saw that, and oh wow, so I love that you just coined a new word. So tell us about Pervis Principles Volume 1.
Pervis Principles Volume 1 is really just learning and gleaning from all the mistakes I made up until that point, and I made many. So I was just looking back for the lesson and wanted to write something to help people to not make the same mistakes as me.
Pervis, what mistakes could you make, Jonathan? He's only 40 years old. I mean, what
that kind of guy from Dallas and in New York City. Oh, I'm sure he's above the fray.
And not in that, but he's saved. How long you been a believer?
Since I was 16.
16. So
he's covered under the blood.
He's covered under the blood.
Mistakes.
What kind of mistakes could you make that you have put in this book?
Well, just relationships with people, not doing business ethically, just making mistakes.
You know, one of the things that we looked at in looking at this in life, and of course I'm talking from a 61-year-old, I think when I got to the age of about 50, we started looking at life as, there's no such thing as failures. And I know you didn't say failures, but for me, said there's no such thing as failure, there's only feedback. So it sounds like this Surthrival book is really giving the world the feedback of what you have gleaned from precious moments.
Well, Surthrival Mode is a book that teaches men how to process and navigate through their emotions and mental health. Pervis Principles Volume 1 is the feedback from my life.
Okay, I got Pervis Principles Volume 1. Okay, what about Pervis Principles Volume 2?
More feedback.
More feedback. Wow, more feedback. I love it. And what about, now tell us about Surthrival.
So Surthrival Mode is really my life, the things I've experienced, the pain, the trauma, and the lives of men who I've had the opportunity to walk through certain situations and the commonalities that we all had together. And that's what the book is about. It's systematic. I have the 4 A's of Surthrival Mode, which is acknowledgement.
Hold on, let me write this down. Acknowledgement.
Acceptance. Articulation. And alchemy.
Articulation and alchemy. Let me just see something. Jonathan, can you give us what those 4 principles are now? The 4 A's?
I'm still with alchemism.
You alchemy. You started from the last one.
Yeah, that was the one I was on.
But the first thing you got to do if you're going to come to Jesus is you got to acknowledge. First, it got to be the acknowledgement. Tell us about the world of acknowledgement in your own words.
Well, the beginning, as you said, the beginning of all breakthrough is acknowledging that something needs to be broken through. I say in the book that Alcoholics Anonymous is the most successful recovery program in history because every meeting, they acknowledge that they have an issue. So they say, my name is Pervis, and I'm an alcoholic. So that's the beginning of everything is acknowledging that something is not working.
Wow, the acknowledging that something is not working, which really gives you which gives you language of breakdown so that you can begin to enter into breakthrough.
Absolutely.
Something is not working. What do you say about that, Jonathan?
That's extremely powerful, and I think sometimes what's common to people, common sense, is not common to everyone. So this kind of practical, simple truth is revolutionary, although it's very simple.
Okay. Now
Absolutely.
Now you share that the next principle is acceptance. What would you say about acceptance?
So acceptance is kind of like, it's saying that it happened and I have to accept it. I'm not saying that I agree with it, but it happened. So for me, I had to accept the fact that my father was a heroin addict. I didn't agree with it, but it is.
Wow.
But it's the truth. And so that's the place of power. That's the most difficult place in the process, is just accepting, because it feels like you're conceding, but it's really a place of power.
Yeah, when you say that acceptance, one of the things when I do a lot of coaching to individuals, I begin to say to them, acceptance is the end of all suffering. And when you get to the place where you can start to accept, then you're going to find that the suffering has been concluded. Because once you can start to accept, my father was an alcoholic. He's no longer with me. He's gone on to be with the Lord, but my father became a member of my church. The day he got born again, it was through a prophetic word. It was the first time my father had ever kissed me and hugged me.
Wow.
And that was not until I was about almost about 30 years old. The first time I had ever felt the embrace of my father. And then of course he had throat cancer, so his words was very few towards the end, but he lived much longer than he was supposed to. He ended up becoming an usher at my church. And I think one of the greatest gifts my father gave me was his ability to sit under his son. Not that it was important that he be under me, but it was important that at some point in my life he affirmed me. And by being affirmed by my father, it psychologically did something. And he didn't need to be a perfect man, but he just needed to be an affirming soul. What would you say, and I hear you saying, although you acknowledged your father and you said that he was a heroin addict, but yet the acknowledgement of your father is bold of you, that you was able to accept everything seemingly that your father was and accept what your father was not. Am I reading that correctly in this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and what did that do for you in moving into that area of acceptance?
Well, for me, with him, I look at him through a lens of gratitude and compassion, as opposed to anger and bitterness.
Yeah. That is so powerful as a black man to come to that, not only just the acknowledgement of it, but the awareness of it. When I came to a point that I was able to start to thank God and realize that my father gave me the gift of a body, gave me entry into the world, but I got complete that he was not here to develop my soul in the capacity I thought he would develop it. Because there were other men that came into my life to develop the soul. Sometimes men, as men with our fathers, we've got to accept that sometimes they were only there to give us that which was physical, but then there's others that become like a Paul to a Timothy that gives us that which is eternal. What would you say about that?
You own it. That's beautiful. Beautifully stated.
Yeah. Jonathan, what would you like to say about that?
It's a great sense of maturity when you are able to, I think, as Pervis said, accept and acknowledge. Like when you see what it is and you're able to accept it, there's a certain peace, although it may be uncomfortable peace, but there is a sense of peace that comes with accepting that, okay, this is what this is what this is not, and living in that reality to navigate through the future.
Yeah. let me ask you this: when you begin to become acceptant of your father, how did your mother um, handle your acceptance of your father, or was she aiding in the acceptance of your father?
I think at first she was a little baffled by it,
Mm,
but I think that she's come to accept who he was.
wow.
Yeah,
And if he was not who he was, you wouldn't become who you are,
absolutely. But
right?
my father was my biggest cheerleader,
Yeah.
so he's not surprised that I'm doing what I'm doing.
Mm. Wow. That's really amazing. And then you got your the third A you mentioned here is articulation. Tell us about the articulation.
Well, in the construct of therapy, and you know this as a coach, and even as a pastor and bishop, your healing is in your words.
Mm.
And so, the space between coach and client, or therapist and patient, that's called the intersubjective field. And what happens within that space is a transfer of words. Words are spirit.
Yeah.
And so the more words you have, the more descriptive, more specific words you have, the greater your healing can be. And
Wow.
so with men, women on average speak like 30,000 words a day. Men on average speak 10,000 words a day. So there's a 20,000 word gap in communication. And so what I do is I try to teach men to use more language, to be more descriptive with their emotions, to develop their emotional lexicon, because that helps in the aid of their healing.
Wow, the emotional lexicon. I mean, I love what you're saying. I love what I hear coming out of you. And I think one of the things that John Dewey said is that a problem well articulated is a problem that is half solved.
Amen.
And so
Yes.
the ability to put it in language allows for that thing to begin to diminish or that thing to come to an area of resolve.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest thing is that I think for a lot of men, we weren't taught to have an expansive vocabulary or use more words. I find myself dealing with men, and they'll say like, "I feel a ways." I'm like, "What does that mean?"
Mm.
Or "I'm mad tight." I don't know what that means. I need you to really conceptualize and contextualize your experience. That way, I can help you.
And I'm doing something right now in the area of mental health in the church, and I'm looking at it from the black church perspective. And they're finding that even some of people that probably didn't know how to diagnose, maybe even depression in our community, when you
Hmm.
would hear a person saying, "I'm just tired," and they say, "Wait a minute, you just woke up," "I'm
Hmm.
tired," which could be a code saying, "I am depressed," or "I am sick and tired of being sick and tired."
Yeah.
I think that's something that kind of lives in language sometimes in our community, and we didn't know to go and get that person's support. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired. We thought maybe they were just saying something, but it was really trying to give us a window to look out of that I am having a serious breakdown and I need some attention. What would you say about this in getting into the world of articulation?
Well, to your point, I think oftentimes our words are predicated by the environment that we're in. So if we're not in a safe space, so to speak, or an environment that feels shame free, I think it limits our words. So I think environment plays a lot with articulation, with our expression of how we feel, with our articulation of our emotions.
Yes. And the environment determines what grows. You put a apple seed in Georgia, it's not going to grow like it would in the Northeast because the
Exactly.
environment determines what grows. You take a pineapple seed and put it in New York, it's not going to grow that well. Why?
No.
Because the seed does not belong there. And so, would you say that as a lot of black men, many of us have not gotten into the right environment, or not even, it's not even about right, but probably have not gotten into environments that really brings about our empowerment?
I would say so. I also think a big part of it is who's disseminating this work.
Hmm.
So for me, whenever I speak to a group of young men or a group of grown men, I level the playing field. So for me, I believe that transparency creates an environment for sharing. So I let them know out the gate, I've been molested as a child. My father died of a heroin overdose. I was homeless. The list goes on and on. I just think that men need to see somebody that's tangible, that's on the journey with them. Because I'm not better than anybody, and I'm not further along on the journey. I just have more tools in my toolbox.
Right.
That's the only difference.
And when you talk about homelessness, since you put that out there, because people are probably wondering that's watching this podcast or listening.
Yes, sir.
At what age did you experience homelessness?
In my 20s and in my 30s.
Wow. What was homelessness? Because I see you, and this is great. The pursuit of happiness, I think that was one of the things that gave us a world of homelessness, that here was a man that was, I believe, had a college degree and experienced homelessness.
Yeah.
I see that you went to college here. You had your bachelor's of business degree at the
And my
university.
master's.
And your master's. Where did you get your master's at?
Columbia.
Columbia. Okay, this is going to get very interesting. Okay, so how did you end up in homelessness?
Well, the place I was living at, they told me that I had to leave because the building was sold.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know my rights as a tenant. And so that's what happened. I ended up moving, and I would have to stay on couch to couch, or some nights I didn't have a place to stay. I had to find a hotel, Airbnb, for a long time.
Wow. And I'm assuming this is in New York City?
Yes, sir.
So homelessness in New York City is very real.
Yes.
I mean, with people that are educated, here you are with a master's degree, sitting there figuring, saying, what in the world is happening?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And it took you how long, would you say, Pervis, to get out of that particular situation?
I would say it was like maybe 6 months.
Wow. Wow, that's something. What do you think about that, Jonathan?
That's a realistic look into what millennial or the 21st century. Okay, all right. Well, you are 40, so I'll let you. That's a real reality, because we are told typically education is the key into or out of, per se, poverty or things of that nature. But what about when education is why you're in poverty?
Whoa.
The knowledge has put you in the poorhouse.
Whoa, the knowledge is that, that could be something that y'all could take on a campaign trail and really say, we need to, what our knowledge has put us in the poorhouse, because you got student loan debt, you've studied for a salary that does not even exist.
It's not even there. An antiquated salary. A Columbia master's. At
Ivy
one
League.
point, that's an automatic six-figure. Just before you got out of school, they're calling you. And now, because of this great degree, I'm 6 months trying to figure out what I'm going to do, when people at McDonald's know what they're going to do for $10 an hour.
Wow.
15 now.
15.
Wow, Pervis. So you've taken on a lot for a journey
Yes.
in your lifetime to experience homelessness, right?
Yeah. Yes,
And nothing technically that you did. They sold the building, and we know that rents it depends on which borough you were in. Were you in Manhattan?
I was in Brooklyn.
Oh, Brooklyn. Well, Brooklyn is the
A
new
block
Manhattan.
away from the Barclays Center.
Wow.
From the bar. Oh, well, that was prime real estate.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that was. Oh, that's high cotton over there. Apartments over there is probably going for close to about 3,000.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
for one bedroom.
Maybe even the studio.
Exactly. If you're in a newer building, and if you're in a building, and please don't have any amenities, you're at 35. A month.
A month.
A month. And with about as much space and less space than in the studio space.
So you actually are working to pay rent.
You're working for your education.
You're working for your education. Wow.
Priceless.
Pervis, so
Yes, sir.
what do you believe okay, and then alchemy. Tell us about alchemy.
Alchemy is the transformation. It's the where the all things work together for my good
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. I talk about in the book, the first miracle Jesus performed was turning water into wine. And that's the same thing for us. Like, how do we turn water, dirty water, into sweet wine? And so, like, how do you master the thing that once mastered you?
Wow. How to turn dirty water sweet wine. That's so powerful in the text because it says that water that Jesus turned into wine may have been the water that the people
Yeah, the cleanse
washed their feet
ceremonial.
with, that you
Yeah.
used to cleanse. He said, bring me that. He used those vessels. And that's amazing that in our life, we have to take the dirty waters of our life or the dirty vessels to begin to serve the sweetest wine in. Wow. So tell us, how can people get your book?
They can get it off Amazon, or they can go to surthrivalmode.com.
Surthrivalmode.com. This is really great. So what are you up to next?
Let's see. I've been guest lecturing at North Carolina Central University. Hoping to do more traveling as COVID, lessons, God willing. Just continue to doing what I'm doing.
Great. And what have you been lecturing on?
Self-care and wellness in students of color.
Wow, self-care. That's a big one. That's
Huge.
a big one. The care of the self. That
Yeah.
is great. Well, we want to thank you so much. And if people would like to be a blessing to you and Cash App you, or do you do Cash App?
I do Cash App.
If people want to be a blessing to you and Cash App you, how can they Cash App you or do Zelle to you, or what is the ways that they can give to you and sow into your life?
Oh, well, that would be a blessing. But it's $ Pervis Taylor. Cash App.
Okay, so go ahead and spell Pervis, so speak, because they may send to P-U-R-V-I-S.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It's P-E-R.
That's right.
P-E-R-V-I-S.
P-E-R.
Taylor.
Yes, Pervis Taylor. Well,
Yes,
we
sir.
want to thank you so much for being here with us, and thank you for sharing your life. And this is great. We see great things happening for you. Let me ask you this: How have
Yes, sir.
how have you pivoted in this COVID-19 season?
This has actually been a huge blessing for me. I hate to say it like that, but because self-care, mental health issues are at alarming rates, and so people been calling me nonstop.
Yeah, and we've done something on this platform that we do. We have therapists on, and that are working with people that are doing mental health hygiene with
Yes, sir.
individuals, just getting stuff cleaned up so that people can process their life and not get stuck where they're at, but pull the nail out
Yes,
of the
sir.
foot that has them just going around in a circle so they can get back on the path of their journey.
Yes, sir. And I think it's important that we know this, and I always say this to clients, is that no one is born ill-equipped. They're just born ill-informed.
Yeah,
So we have everything that we need to make it through.
Yes. No one is born ill-equipped, just ill-informed. Well, you've listened to Pervis Taylor. Go and get his book. Amen. You can also find him in LinkedIn.com in Pervis-Taylor. And,
It's only one Pervis Taylor.
There's only one Pervis Taylor.
Yes, sir.
All right. And we want you to go ahead and be a part of his life, support this brother, amen, that's doing great things for God and the kingdom of God, but also he's doing great things for humanity. Thank you, Pervis, for being who you are, and thank you for taking on this time. We're going to get an offering to you, and we are going to do that. And so there's $ Pervis, Pervis.
Yes, sir.
Pervis Taylor.
Yes, sir.
Taylor.
Yes, sir.
And there's Pervis Taylor. And do you have it? What you said, Zelle? And what is your Zelle?
Pervis Taylor at iCloud.com.
Pervis Taylor at iCloud.com. Okay, Pervis. PervisTaylor at iCloud.com.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, Pervis, this is great. Any children yet?
No, sir. I would love some.
You will love some.
Yeah.
Do you have a wife?
No, sir.
What?
Oh, well, let's get him one.
You know what? I'm going to...
Let's bring him back for some speed dating. Virtual speed dating.
We are going to do a virtual speed dating on this platform. We have the men in the booth, and let the women have the freedom to go and interview each man.
I think it's beautiful.
I'm with it.
You're with it?
Yeah.
That is great. Gray hair men looking for women.
It's all right. That's all right. Listen, we got gray hair. They have no hair, but it's all right.
It's all right. I have edges.
Well, they got some edges.
Wow, I love it. Thank you so much, Pervis. God bless you, and we'll be supporting you. And thank you for who you are.
Thank you so much, Bishop.
Bless you.
To keep in touch with Master Prophet E. Bernard Jordan, go to www.bishopjordan.com and follow him on all social media platforms. To get more information about the Prophecology Conference and or more special events, go to www.zoeministries.com or call 888-831-0434. Thank you and stay blessed.